Thanks for watching Afternoon Live. It can be so tough to find blocks of time to exercise with our busy schedules, but you can still sneak in activity throughout your day. Here to show us how, we welcome back fitness instructor Jodie Swanegan. Great to see you.
Yes, you too.
I'm trying to work on this because it is hard to find. We've got kids running around, we've got soccer practice. You can't always find that me time during the day.
100%.
But if you can take little blocks of time,
yeah,
it's possible.
Anytime you can fit in any type of movement, we got to do it. And I was trying to think of a way to word this, and the best thing I could think of was positive path to movement, because as we're traveling down these busy roads that we're on, we had two options. You know, we can go down the I can'ts, wouldn't, couldn't, shouldn't, just don't have this, that, the other, or we can say I can. What can I do? What can I focus on? What I can do. So if you have 5 minutes, fabulous. Let's take the 5 minutes and integrate some form of movement. And then of course everybody's different. If you haven't been moving your body, we start somewhere where we're in a seated position like we are now. And then if you have been moving and you really want something a little more intense, we'll talk about that too.
Okay.
But you can still do it in a 5-minute time frame, and you can integrate that anytime. So from a seated position, being in a chair, so you can be at work, you can be at home, it can be during a commercial break, or maybe you've been seated for a while at work and it's just time to kind of move your body. Core, any type of core activation. So coming to the edge of a chair, and then or a couch, or in the seated position, and just slightly leaning back and engaging core. So once we lean back, and if you have your feet down to the ground, you can do alternating knee lifts or knee marches. So if you're in a seated position and coming up just isn't right for you, you can do stuff like that. You can integrate like rotational work when you're in that leaning back position, so that you're working more of that midsection. You can bring fingertips to temples and go into more of a bicycle crunch. Just any type of sequencing for core, but then also lifting up a leg and going into a seated leg extension, so that we're working quads. And ultimately, if a seated to standing option works for you, placing heels under hips and then coming to a standing position, and then just repeat that several times from a seated to standing position, because you're doing a squat. I mean, that's ultimately what you're doing from that seated to standing position. So any type of that kind of sequence at work or home, or anywhere that works, and then adding steps throughout the day. So you're on a grocery run, maybe instead of taking the escalator or elevator, you take the stairs. And it doesn't have to be for all the floors. So say you're going up to the 5th floor, you take the first, come out, and then steps, and then go from there. It doesn't need to be like the all or nothing. Parking further away in a parking lot, it can just be a few spaces further away. It doesn't need to be all the way at the very end.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
When walking is so beneficial to our bodies, and it's not super hard on us most of the time, as long as you're taking care of yourself.
Absolutely. And anytime you're having after a meal, if you have a breakfast, getting out, and if you have the time to walk around the block, maybe even just down the street and back. And then just making sure that competing with family sometimes can be fun in a healthy way. Who can hold the longest wall sit? Who can come down into a hover or plank position? And sometimes it can be competing, but sometimes it can also be encouraging each other. So it's, if you're on a time, who can hold it the longest, that's fantastic, but it'll also be like, who are you going to encourage along the way to do this with you? And you want people to enjoy that kind of stuff.
And then you can see improvement, and as your time increases, you cheer each other on. And I think right now too, as our days are still pretty long at the end of the summer, those evening walks after dinner as a family can be so nice.
Absolutely.
And
good
easy.
Adventure time.
Get those steps in wherever you can.
You can use the wall for wall push-ups. And I know that's not everyone's favorite, but when we're in an elevated position or a sturdy countertop, something that can get you upright, and you can play with wider, narrow, diamond-shaped, type stuff, and then wall angels for posterior, chest proud and activating shoulders and back. You place everything up against the wall in a standing or wall sit position, and then you just trace the wall, and it really helps with posture, because we're in a rounded forward position, and this is going to engage everything through that posterior side.
Amazing. It only takes a few minutes to get some things done. Thank you so much. Great to see you. We'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.